The ground was still hot from the blast. Smoke covered the battlefield like a dark cloud. Sergeant Cole Maddox stepped over broken metal and burned armor. The war between humans and the alien species, the Valari, had turned every planet into a graveyard. Cole was tired, angry, and numb. He had lost his unit 2 days ago. Now he was alone, deep in enemy territory, with one mission: kill anything that breathes Valari air. His boots crunched on glass and bone as he moved through the ruins of an old Valari base. Bodies lay scattered, some burned, some shot, some frozen in terror. He scanned the area, ready to fire. Then his visor beeped. A weak life signal nearby. He followed it through a shattered corridor, past flickering lights and blood-stained walls. He found her slumped against the wall, barely alive. A Valari female, young, maybe in her 20s if they aged like humans. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly, her long silver hair matted with blood. She looked up at him with strange, glowing eyes. Half afraid, half curious, Cole raised his rifle, finger on the trigger. "Don't move," he said coldly. She didn't. Instead, she whispered something in perfect English. "Please, don't kill me, human." His heart skipped. He thought maybe his translator was broken, but she said it again, slower. "Spare my life, and I'll give you something you've lost." "What could you possibly give me?" he asked, not lowering his gun. She coughed, blood slipping from the corner of her mouth. "A family," she said. "A real one." Cole froze. It made no sense. Was this some mind trick? Valari tech? Psychological warfare? He scanned her. No weapon, no armor, no implants, just a damaged body and one strange alert on his screen. DNA match found, 42% human. "How are you speaking English?" he demanded. She gave a faint smile, weak but sincere. "I was made for peace," she said, but war came first. The silence between them was heavy. He could kill her right now and complete his mission. No one would know, no one would care, but his finger stayed on the trigger and never moved. Cole stepped closer, confused and angry. "You expect me to believe you're part human?" She nodded slowly. "They made me in a lab. Your lab." Cole's mind raced. Human Valari hybrids? That was forbidden science. If what she was saying was true, then everything he had fought for was a lie. He looked at her again, this time not as a target, but as something else, something broken. Like him, he lowered his rifle just slightly. "If you're lying, I'll end you," he said. "I know," she whispered. Then she collapsed, unconscious. Cole swore under his breath. He should have left her there, but something made him pick her up. She was light, almost weightless. He carried her through the ruins, heading to his extraction point. The wind howled through the empty buildings. He set her down in a hidden bunker, wrapping her in a thermal cloak. He checked her vitals, weak but stable. His radio buzzed. HQ was calling him back, but something felt wrong. He replayed her words in his mind. "Spare me and I'll give you a family." It didn't make sense, unless she knew something or had something that could change this war. Then his visor flashed red. Incoming aerial strike, not from the Valari, from human command. His own side had locked onto his location. "Command, this is Maddox. Friendly here. I repeat, friendly." No response. They were trying to erase evidence, erase her. He grabbed her and ran deeper into the shadows. As the missiles rained down on the place he stood just seconds ago, he held her tighter as the ground shook. She stirred in his arms and whispered, barely audible, "They lied to you, Cole. About everything." The screen faded to black. Smoke still covered the sky as Cole ran through the shattered valley. The alien woman, Naira, was weak in his arms, her breath shallow but steady. Behind them, fire and dust exploded from the bunker. The human strike had wiped out the last trace of the Valari base, and if Cole had stayed 1 minute longer, he'd be ashes too. But that wasn't what scared him most. What scared him was that the strike hadn't been aimed at the enemy. It had been aimed at him. The moment he picked her up, he had become a target. Cole knew a betrayal when he saw one. Now he had two problems: an alien hybrid who might be lying to him, and a military command that had just tried to kill him. He reached an old comms shelter deep in the hills, long abandoned from an earlier war. No drones, no signals, no power, just walls, dust, and shadows. It would do. For now, Cole laid Nira down on a cot, checked her wound, and sealed it with a field patch. Her skin glowed faintly under the light, like moonlight on water. She looked peaceful, almost human, almost. He sat beside her, gun in hand, thoughts spinning like a storm. What had she meant? They lied to you. Who was they? And what lie was worth killing their own soldier to protect? Hours passed, then her eyes opened. "You're alive," Cole said, not sure if it was relief or regret in his voice. Nira blinked slowly, her voice hoarse. "You didn't leave me." "You're not dead yet," he replied, dry as sand. She tried to sit up but winced in pain. "I told you," she whispered, "I'm not your enemy." "Then what are you?" he asked. "Because your DNA scan says you're half human and that's not supposed to exist." Nira looked away. "My mother was Valari, but I was made in a lab, one of many." "Human labs?" Cole asked. She nodded. "Your side created us, then tried to erase us." Cole felt his stomach twist. The war he knew, the enemy he hated, it was built on liars. "As why speak English?" he asked. "I was taught to," she said. "We were meant to be a bridge between species." "Didn't work out, huh?" "No," she said. "They killed the program and hunted the survivors." Her eyes met his, soft but steady. "I'm not the only one, but I may be the last." Cole didn't reply. He walked to the far wall, staring at nothing. He had killed too many to count, believed in orders, believed in purpose. Now he didn't know what to believe. "You said you'd give me a family," he said suddenly, turning back to her. "What did you mean by that?" Nira touched her chest just above her heart. "Not blood. Not yet," she said. "But something real, something you've lost. Hope." The word hung in the air like smoke. He was about to ask more when a warning flashed on his wrist. Motion detected. Someone was approaching, fast, not human. Valari. Cole raised his gun, eyes on the entrance. Nira looked at him, fear on her face. "They'll kill us both," she whispered. "They don't know what I am." Footsteps echoed outside, heavy and sharp. A shape moved past the broken window, tall, armored, and glowing blue. Cole held his breath, finger on the trigger. The door creaked, then silence. He stepped outside slowly, gun raised. Nothing. But on the wall, scratched in the dust, was a symbol. Valari script. He looked at Nira. "What does it mean?" he asked. She stared at it, then said quietly, "It means traitor." Cole understood instantly. They weren't hunting him. They were hunting her. She had betrayed her kind, just like he had betrayed his orders. Now, they were both fugitives, both without a home, and maybe that made them the only ones who could change anything. Cole sat back down beside her, eyes hard, voice calm. "You better not be lying to me." Nira gave a tired smile. "If I were, you'd already be dead." Outside in the dark hills, something howled, an unnature. All sound, cold and sharp, something was coming. But for the first time, Cole wasn't sure if it was the enemy or salvation. Cole hadn't slept, not because of fear, but because of the dream. It had felt too real, like someone else's memory playing behind his eyes. He saw a lab, white walls, human doctors, and a little girl with silver hair crying behind glass. Then he woke up, heart pounding, hands shaking. But it wasn't his memory, it was hers. Nira sat quietly across from him, sipping water, still weak, but watching him carefully. "You saw it, didn't you?" she asked. Cole didn't answer. He didn't need to, she already knew. "How?" he asked finally. Nira touched her neck just below her ear. "Bioechoes," she said. "Our bodies store memory in cellular pulses." "Like a hard drive?" "Like a soul," she replied. He wasn't sure if he believed in souls, but he knew what he saw. The pain, the fear. It was too sharp to be fake. That child had been real. Nira looked at him gently. "When you touched me while I was unconscious, some of it transferred. You could have warned me. You wouldn't have believed me." He hated that she was right. They were still hiding in the old comms shelter, but time was running out. Drones would sweep the area again soon, and Nira wasn't strong enough to move far. She said there was a place they could go, somewhere safe. Not human, not Valari, but in between, like her. Cole checked his weapon, reloaded, and nodded. Lead the way. They moved through broken valleys and rust-covered roads. Everything looked like the ghost of a world that had already died. War had touched every inch of this land, and both sides had left their scars. Naira guided them through a hidden path, through a crack in the mountains. On the other side was a cave, deep and dark, but alive with glowing light. "Is this a trap?" Cole asked. "No," she said. "This is where I was born." Inside, strange blue veins pulsed through the walls. Old Valari tech, fused with natural stone, a living archive at. The center of the cave was a round platform surrounded by crystal pillars. Naira stepped into the middle and placed her hand on one. The pillars lit up, and the air filled with whispers. Not voices, but thoughts, memory fragments flickering like light on water. Cole aimed his gun, instinctively on edge, but Naira raised a hand, calm. "This is a truth vault," she said. "It stores memories from those who lived through the beginning." One of the crystals projected a scene in the air. Cole watched, eyes wide. It showed Earth's leaders meeting Valari diplomats. Smiles, handshakes, fake peace, then hidden recordings, deals made in shadow, promises broken. The humans had promised alliance, then launched a secret attack to steal Valari tech. The war hadn't started from fear, it had started from greed. Cole's face went pale. Everything he believed was a lie. He looked at Naira, who stood silently as the truth played around her like ghosts. "You said you were made," he whispered. She nodded, "as part of Project Reclaim." The next memory showed human scientists growing hybrid embryos in tanks. Cole saw one that looked like Naira, then he saw another. Bigger, stronger, darker. "What's that one, meh?" he asked. Naira's face darkened. "My brother," she said. "They trained him to be a weapon." Cole turned away, fist clenched. "I've killed Valari with a smile on my face," he muttered. Naira stepped closer. "You didn't know." "I should have," he said. "Now you do," she replied. Suddenly the crystal lights flickered. A warning flashed in Naira's eyes. "They found us." Outside, the sound of footsteps echoed down the canyon. Not human, not Valari, something else. Cole and Naira backed away from the platform, weapons ready. Then a voice called from the shadows, deep and cold. "You should have stayed dead, sister." From the dark, a figure stepped forward, tall, armored, glowing red beneath his skin. He looked like Naira, but older and far more dangerous. It was her brother. "Hello, Naira," he said. Then his eyes turned to Cole. "And you, human, have made a very big mistake." The cave shook as Naira's brother stepped into the light. His skin was darker than hers, his eyes cold and burning red. He wore armor that pulsed like a heartbeat, half Valari, half human, but nothing like her. "Run," Naira whispered. Cole didn't need to be told twice. They dashed down a side tunnel, the walls glowing red behind them. The sound of footsteps echoed through the stone, heavy and fast. "He's not just a soldier," she said, breathing hard. "He was made to hunt our kind." "Who made him?" Cole asked. "Same people who made me," she replied, "but they made him without a soul." They reached the surface, climbed into the hills, and ran until the cave was far behind them. Only then did they stop, hidden behind thick rock and trees. Cole looked at her, eyes burning with questions. "Why didn't you tell me about him?" "Because he's what happens when mercy dies," Naira said softly. She pulled a small device from her cloak, a data crystal. "In the truth vault," she said, "I found more than memories. This has the location of the facility where we were created." "You want to go back there?" Cole asked, shocked. "I have to," she said. "There's something inside, something that proves the war was never meant to end." The journey took them across dead zones, broken cities, and blackened skies. At last, they reached the edge of a desert. Beneath the sand, buried deep underground, was the place she had once called home. An old Earth military base, long erased from maps, but not from memory. Cole and Naira stood before a rusted hatch half buried in sand. Cole cracked the lock, and together they descended into the dark. The lights flickered as they moved through the hallways. Broken glass, shattered screens, and bloodstains covered the floors. "Looks abandoned," Cole whispered. "Not forgotten," Naira replied. They reached a steel door marked Project Reclaim. Naira's hand. As shook as she entered the code, the door slid open and cold air rushed out. Inside were pods, hundreds of them, lined up in perfect rows. Most were empty, broken, or dark, but a few still glowed with life. Cole walked past one, stopped, and stared. Inside floated a child, half Valari, half human, just like Naira. "They're still making them," he said quietly. "Not for peace," Naira whispered. "For power." At the far end of the lab was a control terminal, still running. Cole pulled up the files, his face going pale as the truth loaded on screen. Earth Command, Valeri warlords, tech corporations, all working together. They weren't enemies, they were partners. Partners in a war economy worth trillions. Every battle, every death, every planet, just numbers in a profit report. Naira placed her hand on the screen and the system responded to her DNA. More files unlocked. Video logs, secret meetings. One showed a General Cole recognized, his old CO, saying the words that burned into his brain. "We don't want peace. We want control." Cole stumbled back, breath heavy. "I fought for this," he whispered. "I killed for this." Naira looked at him, voice calm but sad. "So did I." Suddenly the lights turned red. The speakers crackled to life with a deep, cold voice. "You never should have come back, sister." Her brother, already inside, he had followed them from the start. Metal doors slammed shut, alarms echoed through the halls. Cole grabbed Naira's hand and ran, dodging fire from drones that dropped from the ceiling. They reached the exit corridor, but her brother was there, blocking the way. "I warned you," he said to her, eyes like fire. "You don't belong to them," she said, voice shaking. "I don't belong at all," he replied, and launched himself at them like a living weapon. Cole fired, bullets sparking off armor. Naira used her energy pulse to slam her brother back into a wall. "You're buying time." Then she threw the data crystal to Cole. "If we die," she said, "that truth must live." Cole caught it, nodded once, and ran as the ceiling began to collapse. Behind him, Naira turned to face her brother alone. Two creations of war, locked in a fight born from the same code. Cole burst through the surface hatch just as the base exploded behind him. He didn't look back. He couldn't. In his hand was the only thing that could end the war, but in his heart, something was breaking. He didn't know if Naira had survived. He didn't even know if peace was possible. All he knew was this: the enemy wasn't who he thought. The wind cut across the desert like glass. Cole walked alone, dust covering his face, the heat burning his skin. His armor was cracked, his weapon low on charge, but none of that mattered, because she was gone. Behind him, the hidden base was now a crater, nothing left but smoke, silence, and ash. He had escaped with the truth, but he had left something behind, something he couldn't replace. He dropped to his knees in the sand. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out, just breath, pain, and silence. Cole pulled out the data crystal and stared at it, so small, but heavier than any weapon he'd ever held. Inside were names, faces, proof of betrayal, and more. And yet, he didn't feel victorious. He felt hollow. He had fought so long, for so many years, but this was the first time he had truly lost something, and he didn't even know why it mattered so much. Naira wasn't just another mission. She had looked at him like he was still worth saving, even when he didn't believe it himself. Night fell fast in the wasteland. Cole built a small fire and sat alone. But as the flames crackled, he heard a sound, soft and broken. He turned sharply, weapon raised. From the darkness came a figure, stumbling, bleeding. It was Naira. Her armor was scorched, one arm limp, but she was alive, barely. Cole ran to her, catching her before she fell. She looked up at him, smiled faintly, and said, "Told you I wasn't easy to kill." He licked those. Awked, just once, and it almost hurt. He carried her to the fire and wrapped her in a cloak. She rested her head against his shoulder, silent, breathing, alive. "How did you make it out?" he asked. "I used the last of my power to shield myself," she said. "My brother, he didn't make it." Cole didn't answer. He didn't know if that made things better or worse. Naira reached out and placed a hand on his chest. "You feel it now, don't you?" "What?" "The fracture," she said. "The crack between what you were and what you are." He nodded slowly. "I don't know who I am anymore." She looked at him, her eyes soft like water under moonlight. "You're not a soldier," she said. "You're a survivor." The next morning, Cole woke up to find Naira drawing something in the sand. A symbol, simple curved lines that formed a kind of tree. "What is that?" he asked. "A Valari family seal," she said, "but not just Valari. It's for people like us." People like us? Broken, hunted, but still choosing to live. She looked up at him, her voice steady now. "You asked what I meant when I said I could give you a family. It wasn't just about blood. It was about choice." Cole sat down beside her, watching the symbol glow faintly under the morning sun. He didn't speak because he understood. She wasn't offering love or peace or escape. She was offering meaning, a new mission, not to destroy but to rebuild, to fight not for orders but for the right to feel human again. But peace wouldn't come easy. The truth on the data crystal had to be shared, and both humans and Valari would try to silence it. The real war was just beginning. Naira stood slowly, her hand over her side where she had been hurt. "I'm not strong enough to walk far, but I can still guide us." Cole helped her up. "We'll move at your pace," he said. She gave him a look, part challenge, part gratitude. "Even if it take. As forever?" "Even then," he replied. They walked into the light, step by step, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as something new. And behind them, the wind erased the sand where her brother had died, but not the pain, not the truth, and not the choice they had made to keep moving forward. The city was quiet, too quiet. Cole stood on a rooftop with Naira beside him. Below, the streets were full of broken machines and dead lights. The place had once been a human colony, abandoned now, lost to fear and silence. He looked across the skyline. "This used to be alive," he said. Naira nodded. "So were we." It had been 5 days since they escaped the lab, 5 days since the explosion, since the data crystal revealed the war's secret, since they stopped being soldier and hybrid and started being something else, not lovers, not family, not yet, but something real. Naira leaned against him, her voice soft. "There's something I haven't told you." Cole didn't move, just waited. Her eyes searched his face. "When I said I could give you a family, I wasn't speaking in symbols." Cole turned to face her, confused. "I don't understand." Naira placed his hand gently on her stomach. "I mean it literally." He froze. "Wait, what?" She gave a small nod. "I'm carrying something. Someone." Cole's mind went blank. He stepped back, heartbeat racing. "But that's not possible." "It wasn't supposed to be," she replied, "but it happened." He stared at her, unsure if he was angry, scared, or something else. "How long have you known?" "Since the lab," she said. "The bio-echo confirmed it. You should have told me." "I didn't know if I'd survive," she said. "Didn't want to give you hope and take it away." Cole ran a hand through his hair. A child, a half-human, half-Valari child, a future, a risk, a reason. He sat down on the rooftop, eyes on the sky. "I killed families in this war," he whispered, "and now you're telling me I have one of my own." Naira sat beside him, quiet. Then she said, "You can walk away, Cole. You do. And owe me anything." He looked at her, jaw tight. "You didn't ask for this either." She shook her head. "No," she said, "but maybe we were made for something more than war." The moment was broken by a sharp sound, metal slicing air. A drone, not Valari, not human, but black market tech. Mercenaries. Cole cursed under his breath. "They found us." Within seconds, 3 hunter ships hovered above the city, scanning with red beams. "Who are they?" Naira asked, already moving. "Doesn't matter," Cole replied. They were paid to kill us." They ran through crumbling streets, dodging debris and shadows. Cole fired at the drones, taking one down with a clean shot. But the others swarmed, calling for backup. They ducked into an old medical shelter, locking the door behind them. Naira leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "I can't keep running." "You won't," Cole said. "I'll hold them off. You get out." "No," she said firmly. "If we split, we both die." Cole grabbed the last EMP grenade from his belt. "Then we fight." Outside, the mercenaries closed in, human faces but dead eyes. They didn't care who Naira was or what she carried. They only cared about the price on her head. Inside the shelter, Naira did something unexpected. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a glowing sphere, bright, pulsing with heat. "What's that?" Cole asked. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "It's a beacon." "For who?" For someone who still believes peace is worth dying for. She activated it and the light shot into the sky like lightning. The mercenaries saw it and backed off, confused. Then the air rippled, silent, strange, and something arrived, a ship. Not of human or Valari design, smooth, silver, silent. It landed behind the mercs like a ghost made of steel. From it stepped figures. Not soldiers, not hunters, but hybrids, like Naira, like the future. They didn't speak. They just stood between Cole and the enemy. The mercenaries hesitated, then fled. Cole stood frozen. Naira smiled weakly. I wasn't the last, she said. There are more of us. One of the hybrids approached and looked at her belly, then at Cole, then gave a small nod. You have a choice, the hybrid said. Hide or lead. Cole looked at Naira, then at the sky. I've made too many bad choices, he said. Then make one good one, Naira replied, reaching for his hand. He took it, without hesitation, not because he was ready, but because maybe, just maybe, they weren't running anymore. Maybe they were finally walking toward something, a life, a future, a family. The hybrid ship flew silently through the upper sky. No weapons, no warning, just purpose. Inside, Cole stood by the window, staring down at the world below. Burned cities, cold planets, walls built by fear, all of it waiting for one thing. Truth. Naira sat in a seat beside him, hands over her stomach. The child inside her moved for the first time. She smiled, a little shaken, a little amazed. Cole watched her, trying not to show the storm inside his chest. They had reached the edge of everything. The last decision, the final risk. Their goal was simple. Break into the main EarthNet tower and broadcast the truth. The files from Project Reclaim, the secret deals, the faces of the people who had built this war for profit. They didn't expect to come back, but they had to try. The ship landed just outside the tower walls. Valari and human forces both waited, weapons drawn. For once, they stood side by side. The enemy of their enemy was now them. Cole stepped out first, holding no weapon, just the crystal, raised high. A voice from the human line shouted, "Surrender now and we won't shoot." Cole smiled without warmth. You already tried that once. From the other side, a Valari general stepped forward. His voice echoed through the translator grid. The hybrid must be handed over. She's carrying a biological threat. Naira walked out, unafraid. Her voice rang clear through the quiet femme. I'm carrying a future, not a weapon. The lines didn't move. Fingers stayed on triggers. The silence was sharp. Then from above, a signal cracked across every screen. A hybrid ship had linked to the EarthNet grid. The files began uploading. In seconds, the truth flashed across the galaxy. Images, voices, maps. War was never defense. It was a market, and they were all being sold. The soldiers hesitated, confused, angry, ashamed. One of the human officers lowered his gun, then another. Then a Valari soldier dropped his spear, and the wave began. But peace is fragile, and power does not die quietly. A shot rang out from the command bunker. Naira fell. Cole caught her before she hit the ground, blood on her side, his hands shaking. No, 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 he whispered. Stay with me. Naira looked up at him, her eyes full of pain, but not regret. You have the crystal, she said softly. They can't bury the truth anymore. Cole held her close as the hybrids surrounded them, protecting them from the chaos. Don't leave, he whispered. We're just getting started. She smiled faintly. You still don't understand, she said. I wasn't sent to save the world. I was sent to bring you back to life. Her breathing slowed, then stopped. Cole sat in the dirt, surrounded by soldiers, lives falling apart, and a silence that finally felt real, and for the first time in years he cried. The next morning, the war didn't end, but it changed. People began to question, to resist, to rebuild, and Cole? He didn't disappear. He walked into cities that once hated him and showed them the truth. He protected the child Naira left behind, raised him not as a weapon, but as a symbol of what could be, half human, half Valari, born from a promise, and carrying a name spoken in whispers, hope. Years later, in a small school built from stone and memory, a boy with silver eyes asked his fat boss, her. Was it true? Was Mom really an alien? Cole smiled, looked out the window at the rising sun. She wasn't just an alien, he said. She was the only one who didn't ask me to kill. She asked me to choose. And I chose you. The child leaned against him, and they watched the light touch the broken world, not fixed, not perfect, but healing. One choice at a time, one truth at a time, one last war, finally over.